So section 9, areas of parallelograms and trapezoids. Just like the last few sections, as you do the homework questions, I'm going to ask you for credit. If you want credit, do it like I'm doing here in the homework, where you write out the equation with just the variables, and then you put the numbers in, and so on. We'll kind of go through like proving why this is the case in next year when you guys are in pre-algebra. But for area of a parallelogram, it's just going to be capital A for area equals lowercase b for base times lowercase h for height. So it's actually the exact same equation as a rectangle. And like I said, we'll be giving you a chance to kind of prove that next year. But for now, we're just going to accept it. So if I want to find the area here in example 1, what I'm asking you to do is first do capital A equals lowercase b times lowercase h. All right, now for base, the base is going to be 8. And I'm kind of throwing you a curveball here because 4 isn't the height. That if you think back to triangles, we said that when you have a base and a height, they have to be perpendicular to each other. They have to be at a 90-degree angle. So in order for us to actually find the height of this thing, or for us to find the area of this thing, we need to know the height. Typically, the height's going to be given to you, but I'll go and kind of just write it in for you. So sometimes they'll do a dashed line there to show it's just that edge, and they'll put the little right angle symbol. So the height is 3. Now, you can't actually go through and just make up heights like that. I'm just doing it. I wanted to kind of draw emphasis to the fact that base and height have to be perpendicular. But it would have to be given to you for you to do the problem. So then we have 24 is the area. So as you go through and do the homework questions, I'm looking for these steps here. First, write the equation with just the variables, put in some numbers, give me the answer. So please do that. And the reason I ask isn't I'm trying to make it take longer. It's just I found that people get way more questions right when they're showing the work. Area of trapezoids, another one that we'll look at proving next year. So I'm just going to throw the equation out and we'll get right to it. So the equation is going to be 1/2, capital A for area, 1/2 times h, a lowercase h for height, and then parentheses b sub 1. So the 1 goes down below. It's not b times 1. It's saying the first b, the first base, plus b sub 2, the second base. And as we go through and do these, one comment that I want to add to this is these bases have to be parallel. So when we look at the example 2 down here below, we can't say this is a base and this is a base because those two sides are not parallel to each other. Instead, our bases have to be this 5 on the top and the 9 on the bottom because those two are parallel. And it doesn't really matter which one we call base 1 and base 2. I'm just going to label the one on top base 1, the one on bottom base 2. But now if we were to go through and do this question, I'd be asking you to first write out the equation. So 1/2 h, so b1 plus b2. And I'd try to keep the capitals capital, the lowercase lowercase. That'll come in handy later when you start finding capital B stands for something different. And all right, so my area, my A, is going to be 1/2. Well, my height has to be perpendicular to my base, or my bases in this case. That has to be the 3, because we have that 90-degree symbol right there. And then in parentheses, we have a 5 plus 9. And you could take and type this all into your calculator if you wanted to. You could type in this whole side here all at once, just like it's written, and press equals, and it'll do it for you. Otherwise, you could do it in steps. You could say 1/2 times 3 times 5 plus 9 is 14. We do have to do what's in the parentheses first. And then once we have all of that, that becomes 1/2 times 14, or 21, it should be. And I believe that's kind of the end of the notes, other than our I can statements there at the bottom. But with these, if you take and do the steps, so first you just go through and write out the equation, kind of like, all right, here's the equation I'm using. Then plug in your different numbers for the different variables, and then find your answer. It's really not too bad of a section. So let me know if you have questions. Be glad to help.